Okay, welcome back to today's daily update of the prices developments in the FIFA World Cup 2018, 19th of June, so another match day played. Although not yet, we did see all teams playing. There are still Japan, Colombia, Senegal, Poland to play, and actually Russia will play Egypt before at least one of these games. I'm not sure now, I'm gonna check that later. Anyway, what did we have yesterday? While I'm doing this, I'll do the regular thing while I'm continue to talk this rubbish. I'm gonna kick off the simulation run as usual. Results have been entered. Oh, I could show that here, although this is not in the I'll sort this by date and time, and then we can see here that 14 games have been played now. This is set to yes, so all the results have been entered. England won in the last minute. Belgium beat Panama. Sweden beat South Korea by a goal to nil. And so 14 results have been entered. Actually, I have to say I did recompile some of the prices. So I'm gonna kick off the simulation now, and in the meantime I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. I had to recompile some of the prices, and so maybe we'll have some different results. And I do this, as I said, I'm always allowed. I'm the what is it called? Webmaster. I'm the there's a word with D. I don't know. But I'm allowed to do those changes manually. I created the program. I've done all this work. So and with all my experience, I know where to do some slight adjustments also to the teams. I saw them playing and I had the results, but you still can do some. It's just minor adjustments. Still, we might see an effect of that in the results of this simulation. I will still try to explain why and maybe even what I did. I mean, we saw Sweden playing yesterday, and even without or with Ibrahimovic, it doesn't matter that much, or did it? At least they may really have been a bit better. It was not that South Korea were any bad, and in the end maybe they even deserved a draw, but it looked like Sweden were maybe a bit stronger. And you can... It's Panama played pretty well, and they played very okay for their first appearance. But of course, they remained the huge underdogs, which they could not really refute. They are. I mean, they lost 3-0, but it could have been, yeah, well, they had the chance to equalize, and Mertens made this very fine goal, and without this. But still, Belgium were just clearly the better side. And England, to me, England were actually most impressive, I have to say. I mean, you can't stand this German commentary because they always take the result and comment on this. So as long as it was 1-1, they said something wrong with England's. But they all know how to defend, and Tunisia did as well, and they did it in style. They did it very well, and I was actually impressed by Tunisia too. Well, they are all the same, more or less. Morocco or Tunisia, Egypt, all those North African. But maybe, yeah, Tunisia made a good impression at least. But still, they all know how to defend, and they all do the same. They are physically, they are same power, they got the same stamina, they know how to tackle, and tactically there's no deficits at all. So they all do the same. They know how to defend. What did I do? Export it to this one. I have to replace it. And So and still England were, to me, in some sense, the best side I've seen so far. I mean, it's hard to judge when you see lower opposition, or Belgium. I mean, or yeah, Brazil. You can see at any point they might excel, right? And also Argentina. Okay, so quick time fell over. I have to cut that. Anyway, simulation is through, and I don't know, I was in the middle of a sentence, can't remember now. But at least we exported this. Now I was talking about England and so on, Uruguay. I don't know, last minute, last gasp winners. And some of them succeeded, and usually it was the right side scoring, except Iran against Morocco. But also Brazil, Argentina, Germany. Yeah, Brazil, Argentina, Germany would have deserved the winning goal. Yeah, the one goal at least. I mean, Argentina and Brazil, the winning goal, and Germany, the equalizer, I would say. Okay, and so those late goals coming, this is not happening by coincidence. It happens because the good teams, they know how to do that, and the pressure is rising, and they know how to, okay, in the last minutes, opponents are getting tired, and they are stepping forward. And so this is not happening by coincidence. I don't know why it's offering again and again. Okay, this was today 9:13, so I'm a bit later today. As usual, I'm gonna copy those simulation results that had just been exported over to the simulation 6. Actually, 5 is from yesterday, and this is the number 6. I'm gonna copy the values in here. You saw there was a smaller change to Russia, maybe because, I don't know, can be coincidence. But also possible that Saudi are a bit lower. Well, okay, now those are the, this I just entered here, this we do not care for, and now I have to copy these results down here and sort it, just to be able to sort them. Okay, and now we got a similar similar for France, 97.2 or 97%. England improved by a margin. This was the easiest group, so to say, or yeah, 2 very big sides and 2 smaller ones, while Tunisia were no bad at all, but they lost the game in the last minute, so their chances are very low now, while England and Belgium are more or less through already. 95.8 or 95.1. England with the better chances, although not the better team, as they have to play the easier opponent still. They have to play Panama and win it, and Belgium have to beat Tunisia first. Okay, anyway, no changes to these. Spain, yeah, well, 92.2 or 90.9, I'm not sure if we see any major impacts here. Russia, 114, 116 from yesterday, and now it's 114. I can't say really, recompiling the prices. Brazil are a bit lower, I think, because Switzerland are a bit better. Serbia, they won their game. Well, anyway, you see some some small change to Brazil. Although I like them, but well, comparing them to the others, maybe not. Well, you can see they could do better. Mexico 123, so slightly lower chance. Germany, well, they're 143. So this is a major change. As I said, with the one thing is that Sweden made this good impression. South Korea also no bad, and in the last 20 minutes they showed their very best and came very close to equalizing. And I know they tried to avoid those high crosses, but because the defenders are so tall. But at some point they had to, and they still did get in touch with their heads. But they tried with the low crosses as well. But it's hard to beat any defensive. But Sweden's they were tough. Okay, fell over again. It's another cut here. Interruption. I was explaining that Germany's chances are lowered compared to the run yesterday. The one part may even be that Sweden won, which were the better side favorites, and they got 3 points now. It could have been a draw or away win as well. But also Sweden I see a bit stronger. But there is another thing that does have an impact, which people here around do not notice, but they do not care. You know, the Germans, they say, well, this is World Cup, so we're gonna expect some hours of happiness and some celebrations to come. Because they always win. Okay, so you are forced, the team, you are forced to perform. You are forced to produce the results that make us happy. We all know this is a game of percentage we are playing here, and we saw the prices I compiled and market did compile, so they did offer, so those are pretty close, and there is a chance maybe 90% for Germany to go through, maybe even 95%, but still those 5% are on, and so they can happen. And after it's compiled, there's nothing you can do about it. It's ready, so that from then on it's a random experience. It is the players themselves, they have to show the performance that the computer or the market expects from them. But they more or less would do so. Or we compiled something wrong. If they do not perform, they may, within the games, things may change also. But anyway, so there is this factor of luck always included. So it can happen that the game goes wrong. Whatever they've done wrong, they lost the game. And was it representative for their abilities, or was it just a random result which happens here or there? And of course it was a mixture of these two, and maybe there was some things they didn't do so well in the first half, and so on. The problem now is about pressure. And the thing is, people, they all think they got something to say about that. And they have discussions here on TV about what went wrong. And it was everything that went wrong. And if you hear Marcel Reif or Mario Basler, all the likes, they all, the players would hear that as well, Jogi Löw, and so on. And this is from start to finish. Everything went wrong. They are doing everything. Six players of them did not perform at all, they say, and so on. And it's about tactics, it's about the lineup. This one should have played, and he should have rested this one, and obviously this was wrong lineup, and whatever that is. But this discussions, all those discussions, they do have an impact on this team. And this is for sure not a positive one. I would not like to talk about Spain or Argentina or Brazil if they do not get the result they are hoping for. But I can talk about Germany, which are, for me, doing it the worst possible, because they do not think about that. So they all think they have to even downgrade them a bit more, because they say, well, you were forced to make us happy today. You haven't done that, so that was all wrong. You've done, and so this would lower their chances. I would say even Jogi Löw, the coach, was somehow forced by media to say some real rubbish, which he never does usually, but he says, we will promote, so we will do it. And this is something no one on earth could say. I mean, this would profit, but it doesn't help at all. You can't say that, because whatever they do, there is still this factor, this percentage of luck. We had 75%, now it's down to 70%. And there is nothing better than that. I mean, you can say maybe 75, maybe you can say 78, but if you say 80% or something like that, you have to bet on it, and then, well, prove in the end that you make some money with this approach. I mean, me as a professional gambler, I couldn't do this in 30 years. I would never have done that, to say it's simply, this is going to happen, so I'm going to go for it. You have to, this is with the price, if I get 150 for Germany to promote, of course I would go for it. If I get 130, well, this is my price, I wouldn't do it, of course. So there is this chance they go out. And why would the coach say so? This even rises the pressure on his team. He would say so because the media pressure is so immense that he somehow feels he has to do something about it. And then he says, we will do it. We will go through. And this is ridiculous, and it's wrong. It's bad. It does have some negative impact. Anyway, this is something I wanted to mention at some point. And they do not care. People do not care. If you would say, well, do you know if you say such rubbish, the chances are going lower for Germany? He would say, I don't care. They disappointed me. They made me unhappy. I had 2 bad days, so it's their problem. And if they lose again, then you wouldn't feel sad at all. Then you would say, well, I said that already. They are so bad, they're going to lose. They're making me unhappy, but now I'm not that unhappy anymore because I somehow predicted it. And this is the approach in Germany. So they would actually, almost all those experts saying all this rubbish, they would really actually, in some sense, hope it's going wrong for Germany. Then they can say, well, I said that. Everything was wrong they've done. So I'm through with that. Anyway, some changes to that. Argentina, if chances are a bit lower, can be coincidence within the simulation, but also, well, looking at the other games in the group, well, whatever it is, smaller updates been made and some small impact of that. Switzerland, as I said, they may be a bit better. I like them a lot, although we had a bet already yesterday on them. And Serbia. Well, no major changes there, of course. Let's check Mexico. So a win for Sweden was worst possible. So this did happen. I mean, worst case. I mean, it's not a major 3.8 or 81.6. So this is 1.8% they lost. Anyway, we have those minor impacts here. And I'm not doing the market comparison. Maybe you can do that. You spot those things here and can compare it. What I actually wanted to do, what else I wanted to do within this video is coming back to the probability stuff that I was trying to explain yesterday. And maybe I didn't explain it so well. It was an extra video. I could talk about this goal average because I could show here as well. Which one is this? Okay, this I just copied it down here. So just to show you that I was slightly wrong with the goal average, because it's only 2.29 now, and I expected 2.52, which is close to the one from last World Cup, not in the group stage where it was a bit higher. So I was reasonably okay with that. For the home sites, which are no home sites here, I expected 18.5. They scored 19 goals. This is including Russia's 5 or Spain's 3 and so on. And the away sides, which you can, well, if you remember here, I didn't put the names here. Didn't matter. But here are those 3.8 goals missing. So a total of 3 goals somehow are missing, which you can easily produce by thinking of those, first of all, those very big chances that had been missed. There had been a couple, and some penalties missed, and so on. So easily we could still imagine those 3 goals more, which were not that unlikely. So I wasn't that wrong about that. And then I had this stuff about the probabilities and the outsiders and favorites. And here you can see, obviously yesterday we did have 3 favorites winning. England were the favorites, 71%. Belgium were heavy favorites, 86%. They did it. And Sweden were just small favorites in some sense, but still they won. So 3 favorites winning. So this probability they played at was rising, and the one expected, yeah, maybe it rose a bit because Belgium, England, heavy favorites, but still those 2 values are approaching each other. And this is, of course, what I would be looking for to say the figures are okay, or you say in the end, well, this was a World Cup of big surprises, but one could not have foreseen it. You would tend to get those figures alongside each other, so very close to each other, but as high as possible. And just to explain that once again, how I would calculate this value. No, this is the one from the result that came true. So how to calculate the expected value. Here I simply put the value of the result that came true. So Russia were winning, so 73.76. This was a draw, was an unlikely draw, the most unlikely result. Here we had the outsider winning, Iran last kick of the game, Uruguay also with the last kick the favorite, Croatia 60.68% favorites. And how would I calculate those figures here? And this is, well, if you know some mathematics or statistics, it is as simple as that. You would say, how do you calculate an expectancy value in general? This is by multiplying the probability for something to happen with the value that is coming out. So if you would have, for the dice, the simplest of all examples, I could put this here, just to give you this. I've done that in a previous video, I think, but and now we say they are all the same. 1 and 6, or I could simply click here, or could I? Oh no, I can't. This just to show you that's 100%. And now how would we calculate the expectancy value for? What is gonna, what numbers will we have? Probability times value plus probability times the value plus probability times value plus probability times the value that could come out. Plus, it's pretty boring for the dice, times the value plus the probability times the value. So this is 3.5, and we all knew that. So you couldn't expect 3, you couldn't expect 4, you would have to expect 3.5. And if you were to run a simulation, I'm not going to do that now, but 1,000 times with those probabilities, then you would, well, it would produce an average of 3.5 per roll, so to say. So, and this is the same thing I'm doing here, whereby the value I'm expecting is a probability itself. So I still have to multiply the probability. Here, see, look at this formula. This times itself, because I'm expecting this value to occur with this frequency or with this likelihood, with this probability, I'm going to expect 73.6% times 73.676%. So this is the simplest of all calculations. It's killed my format now. Why did it do it? I can maybe, reset this. But anyway, this is the way it's been calculated. So it's always the same thing. Probability times value I'm expecting. As it is here, and here it's just the probability value itself that I'm expecting to occur. And of course mathematicians wouldn't do this, because they would say, well, I know the probability already, why should I multiply this? But in this case, we do not know those probabilities at all. Here we know, in some sense, we know the probabilities whereby a certain die, if you take one, it would still be false in some sense. No die would exactly represent those probabilities. But still, mathematicians would say, I know the probabilities, so what is the value? But we do not know those, so we're checking those with the values coming in here. And the comparison led to the result, we are pretty close, we're still a bit below, which means we have still some surprises too many within this World Cup. Although we had 3 favorites winning yesterday, England, Belgium and Sweden, still we are not there yet, because the surprise, Portugal, Spain, draw, surprise, Morocco, Iran, surprise, 2 of them, Argentina, the 3rd, Brazil, the 4th, Germany, 5th. Yeah, 5 surprises in 14 games, and as you see here, usually the value would be, well, yeah, usually it just happens in 5 times, but those favorites should be, well, rather in 7 times or 6.5 times we should have the favorite, and we had it in 5 out of 14. I could put this value here, which, yeah, it might give an approach. I don't find the equal sign right now. Why do I use the equal sign? 5. So that's in 35% of the cases we did have a surprise, and we should rather just have 1 in 31% of the cases maybe, or 30%. Because of the heaviness of those favorites. But this is reflected in these figures here. So what more did, I hope well, yeah, I'm waiting for comments, of course, and this is, well, it's all a little bit mathematical, but still, you might by intuition, you would say, well, it makes some sense. I mean, especially looking at this result, saying, well, we did have a tiny little bit too many surprises with those figures. This is the basis. I mean, if someone else gives me different figures, I could take market figures as well, and you could say, well, you overrated the favorites. They are not that heavy favorites, so I'm going to put 70% here and distribute the rest, and here maybe 55% and raise the draw a bit, and maybe Morocco lower a bit, and then you would come down with this value, and this we do not know exactly how it's going to develop, but it will also develop a bit, but they could approach a bit better with other figures. Still, I'm quite happy, and I think it is close enough to prove, well, and this is one thing, of course, people do not really notice, or maybe, yeah, have no real notion of, which is you. Well, what would you expect? I mean, you would expect the favorite to win. You would expect the favorite to win. You would expect the favorite. Well, what would you have to expect? Well, you have to expect an outsider doing something, right? So this is what you really have to expect. I mean, some favorites winning and some outsiders getting a result. This is also what makes sports exciting, because if you watch it neutrally, you don't have a bet and you don't support a side, you would usually support the dog. And so in some sense, if people watch the games today, which are the ones coming up, where could I fastest check that? I know that Russia are playing Egypt Colombia are playing Japan, I would say. Poland are playing Senegal, but I do not know the kickoff times. I can check that here quickly for you. Well, you all may know, and I'm a bit slow on that. But I think the first one will be Colombia, Japan. Yeah, 2 o'clock, Colombia, Japan. 5 o'clock, Russia, Saudi. And this is today. No, sorry. They have a night game. So 2 o'clock, Colombia, Japan. 5 o'clock, Poland, Senegal. And so the first round is finished before the second round starts. I was wrong with that. And Russia are playing 8 o'clock in the evening against Egypt. Anyway, if you would watch Colombia, Japan, would you support? Well, maybe you like Colombia or you like Japan, or you would say, well, I would hope the dog to do something. I would hope to see a good game of football. I would like to see some goals, which is not going to happen. Most likely, I do not know. But not in a frequency we would appreciate somehow. I mean, a 3-3, that was good. A 5-0 was good. But usually the frequency is too low, I consider. But still, you would hope for the dog. And actually, you're doing well with that, because in some cases it is going to happen, and you would not expect that, and you wouldn't even hope this to happen in every game. I mean, then you would say, well, why do I even consider them outsiders? They are outsiders because I'm going to hope for the smaller chance to come. You might also say, well, okay, let's see how the game goes, and then I support the ones that are better. But in some sense, you would say, well, I hope Japan are doing well, and I'm surprised, and maybe, okay, I like their football, so I'm gonna, say, keep my fingers crossed. That's what you say. Keep my fingers crossed for them. And anyway, so whatever that is, I hope I could give you some more insight into that, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm gonna leave this as is for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and bye, and see you tomorrow.